Resident Evil 4 is a survival horror game developed and published by Capcom, the sixth major installment in the Resident Evil series. It was originally released for the GameCube in 2005. Players controlled US government special agent Leon S. Kennedy, who is sent on a mission to rescue the US President's daughter, Ashley Graham, who has been kidnapped by a cult in a rural part of Europe. Leon fights hordes of villagers infected by the mind-controlling parasite and reunites with the spy Ada Wong. From a third-person perspective, the gameplay focuses on action and shootouts with fewer survival horror elements. The camera is placed behind Leon with an over-the-shoulder view. When aiming a weapon, there is no crosshair for any firearm. Instead, every firearm has a laser sight. Unlike previous games where players can only shoot up and down, players have more options. For example, to shoot someone in the feet, they can cause the enemy to stumble. To shoot them in the arm can make them drop a weapon. Players can shoot down projectiles like throwing axes and sickles. So here's some of my thoughts on the game and why I love it so much. It's a lot of fun to play. It's so satisfying shooting the Lost in the legs and then immediately doing a roundhouse kick or a suplex, like something John Cena wouldn't do in the WWE. And there's a lot of interesting enemies in the game, such as the Vertigo, a henchman of Lord Salazar, turning into this beastie-like creature with an alien-like tail, whipping back and forth. The only problem is we don't get a flamethrower in the game, so it makes it even more harder going against him when you have to focus on a barrel to stun him and freeze him to actually kill him. So it is very interesting, and I will be going into the bosses, so bear with me. Also, the story is set in a Spanish town, so different from the other three games, which were set in Raccoon City, a fictional city created by Capcom. The story starts off with a brief backstory of the events of the second game and what happened to Leon after he survived Raccoon City incident 6 years before Leon was hired to protect the president and his daughter.
Mountain community, Raccoon City, and hit the peaceful little town with a devastating blow crippling its very foundation. Not taking any chances, the President of the United States ordered a contingency plan to sterilize Raccoon City. With the whole affair gone public, the United States government issued an indefinite suspension of business decree to Umbrella. Soon its stock prices crashed, and for all intents and purposes, Umbrella was finished. Six years have passed since that horrendous incident.
Accompanied by two police officers who actually have some funny dialogue in this game. They take you to the village in which Ashley was spotted. Soon as you enter the village, you find a house in which a villager lives. After asking him some questions, he becomes hostile towards you. But being an outsider, no wonder why he wants to kill you.
Recognize the girl in this photograph?
¿Qué carajo estás haciendo aquí? ¡Lárgate, cabrón!
Sorry to have bothered you.
Freeze! I said freeze!
After this, you witness the death of both police officers, and the only communication you have through the game is by a secret agent called Hunnigan, who helps you on your travels, giving some information on where Ashley could be. Having Hunnigan there gives you some information about the game and what's going on. She actually helps you discover the name of the Lost Illuminados and the actual cultists of the game, and Salazar himself. But Lord Sadler is the worst out of them all. I do think he's an awesome boss, but like I said, I'll be doing a separate video talking about all the bosses. Progressing through the game, you travel to the other side of the island, following the path in which you find the village. Your first side boss will be here, Dr. Salvador, a mask-wielding chainsaw dude who's been in so many horror games that he gets boring, but not for the first time in Resident Evil 4. He's a challenging side boss, keeping you on your toes every minute and every second. Getting too close to him is one big risk. You don't want to lose your head. Coming off track for a second, depending on what difficulty you are on, weapons will be different. On easy you start off with a pistol and a shotgun, but on normal and pro you only start off with a pistol. To obtain the shotgun in normal or pro, you have to enter the second house in the village, which is mounted on the wall up the stairs. Also, health works different in this game, like combining red and green and yellow together. That will fill up your health to the max, but combining red and green will fill your health a little bit, but combining yellow and green together, that will fill out your white line and your health up a tiny bit. After killing Dr. Salvador, you will find that he will drop 10,000 pitas, which is our gold in the game. You can buy guns and upgrade guns with it. After the village, you will enter the farm where you will find the blue medallions hanging around. This is our first side treasure quest, in which completing you will get the Punisher, a 9mm pistol, free from the merchant. There are a lot of treasures in this game, but I'm not going to go into detail. If you do want to know where all the treasures are, please check out my playlist on Resident Evil 4 treasure hunting. Anyway, back to the game. Once you make your way through the farm, you will get a quick time event. There is kind of a lot of quick time events in this game, but I like it. I like how the developers made it so you focus on the game. For instance, when I first played it, I didn't know there was quick time events in this game. So when it came up to this bit, sprinting like a motherfucker, I didn't even know what was happening. And it's kind of useful. You need to focus on the game and what's happening to actually get through the game. If you're caught off guard, you can die just like that. After that, you will meet up with Luis Serra, who used to be a cop in Madrid, but he is actually a researcher on biochemicals, hired by Sadler. Before you wake up, Sadler will inject you with a parasite, hoping that you will become one of his followers. You wake up and you talk to Lewis for a bit before getting attacked by one of the Lost. After escaping death, Lewis disappears and you're left alone. This is where you meet the merchant for the first time, where you can upgrade your weapons or buy some weapons. You also get the bolt action rifle and the TMP here. The bolt action rifle is very slow and doesn't carry much ammo. As for the TMP, it's a light submachine gun that uses a lot of ammo, but very effective against hordes of enemies. But use it wisely, otherwise you might find yourself down a rabbit hole with no rope. Knowing that you start off the game on easy with the shotgun and pistol, it seems a lot more easier to get through the game if you just want to do a practice run. But on normal and pro, it makes it a little bit harder, and this is why I love it, because you're not simply just having the weapons there for you, and you start off on the lower tier of a weapon. The pistol is at 1 with only 10 bullets in the chamber, and the shotgun is only with 6 in the chamber. This makes it more accurate when you're playing the game. You have to collect a lot of gold in the game to upgrade your weapons and also buy new weapons. So this next video is dedicated to my best mate, Miss Ducky, the stripping duck as she's known on YouTube. Please check her out and give her some thumbs up from me. She helped me write this script for this video, so I hope you enjoy. After making it through the tower guards, name of the camp by the way, you make your way to the village where Pitoris Mendez is, aka the Big Cheese, Sadler's right hand man, where he will spout off about you having the same blood as him. This is the first instance that there might be something wrong with Leo.
carry the same blood as us, it seems. Nevertheless, you're an outsider. Just remember, if you become unpleasant to our eyes, you'll face severe consequences.
What? Same blood.
Leon runs really slow in the game, but it gives you the sense of paranoia, since you get the feeling of getting scared, especially when you're getting followed by the Lost Plagas or the Vertigo or any other creature in the game. Especially for new players or people who haven't played the older games, since newer game mechanics allow for players to run quickly and more smoothly, Leon runs slowly, and the graphics are lower in quality, which makes moving Leon much more harder and challenging. The atmosphere of the game is grimy and feels like an old horror film, especially one of them classic ones like the Night of the Living Dead or something like that. You know when an enemy is nearby when the music just amps up and you can hear the special soundtrack they made for this game, which is quality down to a T. A very lovely score, but scary at the same time, knowing that there's an enemy nearby to you. The feeling of the dry looking plant life and the scenery are dead looking, the colour scheme and the look of the game is gritty, dirty and old. The buildings and graphics are old, which makes the game feel older. The village and buildings give a very unique feel to the game. It makes the player feel even more isolated in the modern world. Rewards in the game, like treasures and little spinos, for example, I had to find them all, especially for new people who haven't played the game yet. The only way you can actually find them all is by getting the treasure map, by purchasing it off the merchant. You always manage to find something new, and the game forces players to play the game over and over again to find them all. Spinos and jewelry are harder to find and are always hidden in very weird and unique places, not to mention how the mercenaries playthrough makes players push themselves to get the highest ranking for extra weapons like the hand cannon and getting unlimited ammo for certain weapons. The reward system feels worth it. Every time you play the game over and over again, you will find new stuff in the game, like new treasures and stuff like that. And even that, there are some treasures hidden in birds' nest. Even the crows that you shoot give you money. And this is a bit of a nod towards the old games. You used to be able to kill the crows in Resident Evil 3 to collect money or health herbs. Now it's changed quite a lot for Resident Evil 4, where they actually put unique items in it. So sometimes you can be looking at the map and you'll see a star where the treasures are, and you're like, where the fuck is this treasure? It might be above you in the bird's nest, who knows? Leon's personality is more resilient in Resident Evil 4. He's more stronger emotionally and looks at things with a sense of strength compared to Resident Evil 6 and some of his animated movies. His dark sense of humour is also funny, and it brings a nice contrast to the game's dark atmosphere, which freshens up the feel of the game. I like his sense of optimism and his personality in Resident Evil 6 and in some of his animated movies. Leon in Resident Evil 6 feels more fragile and weak emotionally. He seems more broken down and ready to give up. But in Resident Evil 4, he seems more likely to fight off the hordes of enemies and crack a wise joke at the same time. The merchant is one of the most rememberable characters in the Resident Evil universe, and he isn't even a playable character. What makes him so rememberable is the mystery behind him. Some fan theories have it that he knows the tunnel system around the village, and that explains why he appears everywhere the player is. Other fan theories say that he is infected because of his red eyes. Even though that the player can kill him, he still comes back. The mystery behind him makes him more appealing. Having the option to interact with the merchant besides Louise, Sarah, Ashley and Ada Wong makes the upgrading system more interesting and fun. Not to mention, any time you see him and his blue torches makes you feel safer and relieved after being through a tough boss battle. Also, other theories suggest that it might be Louise, Sarah's grandfather. There's a note in the farm that you can find, and it talks about Louise, Sarah's grandfather, who used to hunt around the area by using secret passages. But this begs the question, is the merchant really Louise, Sarah's grandfather? I really like how you have the option to go back and forth between places you've already visited and search some more, and how certain areas like the village at the beginning twist and turn and bring you back around to the areas you've already visited. It allows you to search around and be able to memorize the area better and take your time to find goodies and pick up items you have missed or need if you are ever low on ammo or money. And also how you have to be careful when going back to a certain areas, since sometimes enemies respawn when you least expect it. Just a quick shout out to LionGuard2086, my older brother. He's on Twitch, and I asked on Facebook and Twitter what you thought about the game, and the response I got back is basically the same as everyone commented the same thing. It's a great game and I love the story behind it. Alright guys, this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and in the next part we'll be talking about the bosses and we'll be following up from there, and we'll be talking about all the enemies and the different guns and stuff like that. But I really appreciate it if you'll give us a thumbs up and a comment down below what you like about the game, and if you didn't like it, put a thumbs down and tell me in the comments why you didn't like it. But anyway, my name is clownloveoc. Peace, boys and girls, and also just want to give a big shout out to Miss Ducky again. Thank you for helping me write this script, and I'll see you soon.